Horizon Talk Radio. Horizon Talk Radio. Talk radio that deal with the real issues.
Why don't you call the show 0141-628-6350 or email horizontalkradio@outlook.com.
The best talk on your number one talk radio station. Horizon Talk Radio. Online from the Highlands of Scotland, we are voices from around the world.
Very warm welcome, Mrs. Andy. It's Horizon Talk Radio, live from the Orkney Islands in Scotland. Today's guest, we've never done a guest from America before on this very important subject. It's care home abuse, elder care, or old people's care homes. We've had some stories in the UK. One of them was the Peter Hofschroer case. His mum went into care in Yorkshire. She had problems with being looked after. Peter, because he's an English teacher stroke historian, he's now been put in a mental health institution in Austria just because he spoke out about his mum's care in Yorkshire. Anyway, hopefully it's not as bad as that, but tonight we speak to Mary from Texas, and yeah, welcome to the show, Mary. Let's go for it.
Thank you. My dad, he's been in the nursing home for the last 15 years, and at least he's been in about 7 different nursing homes, and they all are the same. And it's sad to hear that situation with Peter. It's so traumatic that it will make you, have some emotional distress. In our case, Dad, he's been in and out of the hospital. He's been lately, just yesterday, the techs were bathing him. He's total care. He can't move. They were bathing him. If you know anything about a feeding tube, it's attached to the stomach. It goes into the gastric, and it's got a balloon that's blown up with fluid in it. And so it keeps it secure in there for pulling out. Well, when they moved him, they yanked out that feeding tube with the fluid and all, still in that balloon. And that balloon is about the size, maybe almost the size of a golf ball. So, that's quite painful. So we had to go out and take him to the emergency room, have that replaced. Just giving some gruesome things that's happened is, not going into detail, is another one just last month. His suprapubic catheter was yanked out, and his bladder was bleeding for 3 days. They couldn't stop the bleeding. And 6 weeks before that, the same thing happened. And that time, his bladder got so big, he suffered kidney damage. He got MRSA, which in the blood, which is a deadly bacteria in the blood. It could have been fatal. He was in intensive care for that. It's just an ongoing battle. And when we speak with, go and try to speak with the administrator, to try to come to some sort of resolution, we leave feeling distraught. We went the first time and they listened. The second time, when it happened again with the bladder issue, they start accusing the family of being violent. They start lying on the family, saying that we were violent to the staff. We had, have great rapport with the staff. That's something that they do. We left crushed because instead of trying to find a resolution, we were attacked, and they used scare tactics as well, telling us, well, maybe you need to find somewhere else to go. And it was only because of that one nurse that caused the trauma that they took offense to. but I guess it's because also that one nurse was the same nurse that did it prior. So it's an ongoing issue with that one nurse. My dad, he's still in the facility because when they lie on you, it goes in my dad's records. And so it's hard when you go to another facility and they look and they see, and it's kind of like you're tainted. And then they take on, okay, this is a troubled family, and they're going to, and so they take on that stance. And even if we, perhaps ask them something, or like I'm very active in my dad's care. I'm there almost every day doing the things that they don't do. And so when you do those things, they tend to get angry with you. And when you go and report things, they get angry with you. There are so many families out here that telling me the same thing. I've got a lady that talks to me. Her son came up with his arm broken, and the nursing home blamed her for breaking her own son's arm. It's hard. You go to the State Department. This is an organization here in America that's in place to regulate the nursing home. It's failing us because each time we go out and we report it to them, they come back, they find no fault. Most recent one I reported about dad didn't have a nurse for a whole entire shift, and he's a diabetic, and he has hypertension, and he has neuropathy. All those issues are controlled by medication. His blood pressure is elevated, his blood sugar can go out of whack, and he's sitting there, in pain. So when the investigator came out, she talked to the nurses. And to make a long story short about that issue, when the State Department investigator came and back with me with her findings, she said that the nurse had, pretty much told her that she knew about my dad, which is false. So they're falsifying information to the State Department. And the reason I know it's false is because dad has cameras in his room, and the nurse is on camera saying, I didn't know that he was my patient. I thought it was the other guy. So we're in the middle. Mhm.
God, that
Yeah,
that is that is
go ahead.
terrible.
Yes. Yes. We're in the middle of reaching out to the State Department to appeal and provide them with the information that we have in hopes that, something will be done. This is an ongoing issue with them falsifying information. For those that don't know, if something happens to your loved one in the nursing home, and if you don't report it, and the nursing home reports it on their own, I just recently found out that the State Department is they tell you it's a closed record, that it's private, and you cannot find out what was said or done because the nursing home reported it, even though it's your loved one. So that's what they rush and they do, and they report themselves so that you wouldn't be able to counteract the false information that they might have put in the records.
Absolutely, that's their way of basically getting out of compensation. Over in the
Hmm.
UK, it's very similar to what you've just said. I mean, we have an organisation called the Quality Care Commission, which
Hmm.
investigates any problems in nursing homes and any um, care setting that's out of a hospital. So, like nursing homes, basically. And you're lucky to have an investigator come down because the Quality Care Commission, in most scenarios, on an individual basis, that they don't actually go out to the establishment unless it's a big thing like multiple infections or multiple beatings or whatever. So on
Right.
an individual thing, they don't come out. So you're lucky in that respect. But what is very similar, um, the nursing staff falsify documents. You get good people, you get bad. I would
Hmm.
try. I mean, I don't know how you get rid of these bad ones because sometimes, I mean, I've found in other stories, if it wasn't for that one bad one, the nursing home would be fine. It's just the one bad one's probably been there years. She may be the senior, and that's what causes the problem. There's no management structure in these homes. And,
Exactly.
you know, we always ask ourselves, don't we, Mary, what are they what are they in this for? Because most
In the
people
field.
want fame, they want money, they want hierarchy, whatever it is, they want something. But do you know what? I believe they actually just do it because they're selfish. They don't care about their job, and they shouldn't be in the job.
Right. And you mentioned that you have one bad apple. Well, over here, Andy, we've got a lot of them. A lot of them. There are more bad apples than there are good. And the good ones over here in America, they don't last. It's just like and back to like the investigators, when the family tries to tell them, it's almost like they don't go out, Andy, because they always favored for the nursing home. So it's really tough on the family. It can um beat on you mentally and emotionally. It drains you. When you have nursing staff that's in the business of caring, and you have administrator as well, they're in the business of caring, yet they falsify and they lie. There was an incident also where the head nurse, the director of nursing, my dad had a roommate who had a trach. It had got clogged. That's a tube in your, down on off in your, to go directly into your neck to make, to help you breathe. Well, it got clogged, and so they called the EMT out. And the EMT asked her a simple question: had she used a certain device? And she said yes. And he said, "You sure you used?" And the director of nursing told him yes. And he said, "Show me." And she was not able to provide that. You stuttered and said, I didn't use it. Well, that delay in care, that lady is under investigation at this, current time, because I myself, I went to the EMT and I wrote the board of nursing, and she's still, it's been a year now, she's still under investigation because that senior citizen went out to the hospital. I never saw him come back. The EMT, they reported that they had to write it up because it was a delay in care, and they were very upset. So it's hard. It is so tough having your loved one in the nursing home, and it feels like no one really cares. You reach out to all these organizations, and no one tend to really care. It's a revolving door as far as the workers are concerned, because they get burnt
Do you know
out.
what, Mary? You've met a
Mhm.
guy. I mean, I can't produce miracles. I'm not God. But I have opened a lot of doors and I've made a lot of problems for people all around the world. Just
Mhm.
because if I find a story that I like, I talk to my friends on social media, not just social media, but professionals. I mean, I don't
Mhm.
know them, I've never met them, but together, what we do is trying to make a difference. Now, this Peter
Exactly.
Hofstra case, he's in Austria in mental health because he complained about his mum in Yorkshire. The reason he's in Austria is because they had a family home there, and
Mhm.
mum got taken into care in Austria because of
Mhm.
false allegations. He couldn't cope. Blah blah blah.
Mhm.
She was moved back to England. He wasn't.
Mhm.
Um, but I've actually secured a lady called Carol Woods out of a mental health institution. She was a social worker, whistleblower. I've secured Suzanne Kellner Johnson again. She
Mhm.
was not a social worker, she was an alternative health therapist. So I've had some negative care home stories. So, I mean, maybe I'm
Yes.
not the best person on this one, but what I do with my people I know, we politely, we all live under God's rule, and, you know,
Amen.
we all have different gods, of course, but if you live under your God's rule, you live on the Ten Commandments, which is very similar in all religions. We
Hmm.
try and do our little bit. We do sometimes, um, I call it standing on the wall or over the edge, but we don't fall off. So, in other words, we never break the law, but we push it a little bit to get some justice for these families. And um,
Yes.
what I do like about your story, because you put it in the email, I'm hoping that you were allowed to do that. These cameras, I think that every family should be allowed
Hmm.
to have cameras around their loved ones
Oh,
because
yes.
it protects the family, the loved
Mhm.
one, and even the staff that are being good. And I really
Exactly.
think our country should be allowed to do that. Now, the stupid laws on data protection subject access is ridiculous at the moment in Europe, but I think that's the only way to protect everyone is to allow cameras of some kind, especially for the infirm where your dad, I'm not saying he doesn't, but most old people, they don't
Hmm.
know how to use a mobile phone or so a camera
Right.
would be, security for them and
In my dad,
peace of
in my
mind for
dad.
you.
Exactly. And in his case, he can't move. He only thing he can move is his head back and forth. He total care. And that camera, like you said, it's there to help the workers as well as, the families. If you see something, you can politely tell them. And in the end, you can actually say thank you, just to brighten their day. You can also say hello to your loved one. Good morning. I love you. How are you doing? That really helps just having that camera there. It's not there to like look and scour or to always look for the negative, but it's there to look for the positive as well and to prevent the negative.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, give praise where it's due. Um,
Right.
all these injuries your dad's had for lack of nursing care. I mean, wow. Yeah. So I'm willing. I mean, we can talk off this broadcast about possible ideas, but I,
Mhm.
I'm quite willing, and I always do with permission, send the show to them, write a few questions to them, which normally you will give me the questions, and I'll just keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it because what we need
Right.
is an answer, really. And
We do
when we get the
answer.
answer and an agreement, my job's done and you're happy again. And
We need answers, and the State Department also we need answers from them as well. Um, you, uh, my whole thing is where does it end? And when will it end? Because nursing abuse and negligence, Texas is the highest. We've got the highest rates for nursing home neglect, and I know there are other family members that's out here, in Radio Land, whoever is listening. We must bring families together. We must all come together and try to fight this. Don't feel that you are alone because you're not. We're all in this together. It helps to have someone to talk to. It helps if we come together. One, two voices is better than one, So if we just bond and come together and try to get even the law change and more stricter about this negligence and abuse and this hidden abuse that's going on, that's way better than any monetary that you could receive. Money can't buy that safety because who knows, one day another loved one might end in the nursing home. Who knows? Tomorrow's not promised to no one. We don't know what might happen. So we all need to just be advocates and speak up.
absolutely, I'm just looking at the news stories there. Yeah, America is definitely um, the highest one. according to the
It is.
World Health Organization. And recently, Nancy Pelosi had I think it was a dad hit by a hammer, and
It was her husband.
so husband, and they're
Hmm.
talking even on that story that
Elderly
the
abuse.
government, the state departments, the health departments, they're not actually taking care of the
Mm-mm.
old people that are being neglected. Um,
Yes.
so yeah, it's well,
That's a big problem,
do,
and it's a nationwide problem.
yeah, do you
You
have
know,
a similar thing over there in nursing homes where, well, you may have heard about it. We call it, because of the city it was made in, the Liverpool Care Pathway, which is in reverse the Liverpool Death Care Pathway.
oh my,
What that sort of thing did, I don't know what year it started or finished, but it's not there now. But I still believe they're doing it. So what they do with elderly residents, they cut down the meals, um, to smaller portions. They often don't give them what they like, deliberately. They definitely give them things they don't like, but
wow.
more importantly, and this is the worst thing, because we can survive without food, they don't give you
Mm.
enough water. They keep the rooms so hot that you need water, but they don't give you it in a way
Oh,
that, they're trying to kill you, basically.
yeah. Wow. No, we don't have that, thank God. Um, we don't have that, praise God for that, but that's big time negligence here in the US, and it's obvious negligence. So if it's that obvious, you would be penalized or in jail for that. Uh, we have what is called hospice, but it's only for those that well, it's for some that, require more services or more care. Um, but definitely we don't have anything like that. And that's horrible.
Yeah, I'll send you the
It's
link
horrible.
on the email at some point.
Yeah, that's horrible. That is so sad. Things like that. It's it would be hidden in the nursing home. I know of a lady, she, here and there I meet some of the family members because I'm checking in and trying to, just get people together. She did tell me that her mother had gone 85 days. This is during COVID. She went 85 days without bathing, and her room was just horrible. And the excuse from the nursing home was that it's her right. Well, what do you do? That's the reason she put her mom in the care, is that she doesn't know what's good for her. When you put someone in a facility, you think they would do the best for them, especially if they're out of their mind. She's demented. So how does she know what her rights are? How does she know, hey, I need to take a bath? You know, how did she know that? And so
Absolutely,
many
and
elderly people. Hmm.
absolutely. And did you know there is well, okay, there's not a cure, sorry, but there's almost a 90% chance of a particular drug that will actually give them their memory back and their minds back. It's not a cure, but it's almost, but they're not giving it to people. And that's the
Oh,
same with a lot of drugs. They tend to give you it when you're almost dead, and that's not fair. And cancer treatment. There's a cure for cancer. They just don't want you to know about it.
I want you to know about it. Isn't it strange how some people can survive it and some just goes really fast? It all depends on who you know. And I just, I know when during COVID, Andy, it was horrific. Thank God my dad had a camera in the room. Otherwise, he would have died. My dad was in the room, and his suprapubic catheter, that how he urinates, the urine to come out of his body. It had stopped producing urine because it was clogged. And so it turned to a discoloration in his diaper. And I asked the nurse, about how he's doing and with discoloration. She was like, "Oh, he's fine. He's fine. His catheter bag is not draining that well, but it's just a little bit." And so I said, "Well, send him out to the hospital." They refused to send him out to the hospital. So I thought quickly. I said, "Well, thank God he had a urologist." I said, "Send him to his urologist." She sent him out to, this is a different facility here. Um, she sent him out to, she called the EMT. They came in, and over the camera, they told me, they said, "Ma'am, if we take your dad to a urologist's office, he's not going to make it. His blood pressure is 98/32. He will die." And I said, "Sir, please, thank you for telling me. Take him to the emergency room." When we got him to the emergency room, he was sepsis. He was in kidney failure. He would have died, Andy. And there are so many people that's dying in the nursing home because it's just from a lack of caring. And I don't know if it's a lack of knowledge, but it is so obvious, even to my 5-year-old, if something stopped draining, there's something clogged. It's horrible. It's almost like they're wanting to kill these people, but they're doing it in a hidden way, and you can't prove it if you don't have, if you're not, especially if you're not involved with your loved one, and you take them and you just leave them there. That's bad when you just take them and leave them there. But I'm very involved with my dad, and that's why I catch all these things.
I mean, one of the articles about the Liverpool care pathway, or stroke death pathway. I'm sending you the articles on email for you to look at. But it's 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 very clear. It says here, headlines in one of our main newspapers: Liverpool care pathway, a way of death worth fighting for. In other words, to avoid dying. But I mean, it's ridiculous, and our governments allow this. I mean, what's even more actually worse than that? I can understand it in one way. If governments are trying to save money, I don't mean to kill the people deliberately, but if they're trying to save money, they're going to do things that are different than what they. But most of these elderly people in these care homes are getting their own families paying for this. So it's a bit like, you know, I'll give you a airplane ticket and I will fund you from the government. You get that sort of service because it's paid
Mhm.
for. But when you're paying for it yourself, you goddamn expect the best. Not all this. Yeah. But
So the
then
family,
other people will say whether it's welfare or whether you pay for it, you should get the same service.
exactly, exactly. You should get good care regardless. That's just humane. And let me understand. I don't know. Are you saying that families are paying for their family members to go into this death trap?
No, it's available to people who pay for their loved ones to go into care homes. It's also available for the people, you know. Oh, let me read it out to you. Let me, if I can find that one, because a lot of people have not heard of this, especially the people in the US. Right,
Right.
this is on Wikipedia. The Liverpool Care Pathway. It says for the dying patient. Now, this is usually not just for the dying patient. My ad, it's for every patient that's in a care home. Um, uh, uh, it was mainly in England, actually, not Wales or Scotland, but it covers palliative care options for patients in the final days or hours of life. Now, they've been doing this in all care homes for any age in a care home. It was developed to help doctors and nurses provide quality end-of-life care. To transfer quality end-of-life care from the hospice, to the hospital setting, the Liverpool Care Pathway is no longer in routine use after public concerns regarding its nature. Alternative pathways instead of that one are now in place. Where are we? But no, I mean, it doesn't actually give you it in Wikipedia because it's against the people. But
So
yeah,
is this like let's say remember that doctor, I forgot, the guy that was killing people that wanted to die? Is it something like that?
no, this is government and doctor allowed. Um, yeah, this story here would be a good one. So the Liverpool Care Path was developed to support patients as they're getting old and near death. Um, that's what this newspaper says. The system. Hang on, wait.
So pretty much when they get up in age, like let's say 80 or 90, they give them this package and say, okay, you're going to die anyway. So let's give you this package and you can go here and you can die today or tomorrow, whatever. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, more or less. One patient had a 90-year-old. Yeah, so she was 90 years age.
Hmm.
And 4 months in a southeast England hospital. Her granddaughters, um, hang on, yeah, her granddaughters was used as a justification. Uh, yeah, so they used the family members to agree to sedate and denying food and water to the patients. Nan didn't want to die, it says here. It would have even have been euthanasia so far as we're concerned. It would have felt to us as if our lamb would have been starved to death and killed because the doctor says, don't give too much food and water. Yeah, but
Mm,
you'll have to read about it. I mean, all the listeners from my end knows what the
yeah.
Liverpool Care Pathway is. It's
Mm,
run by our National Health Service at the time, our doctors, our nurses, our ambulance staff, our hospital staff. It was all part of trying to help people die in their later days. Now, if that was a cancer patient and they had a terminal illness, bingo, that was a good way of doing it. I don't mean
right.
taking away
I
the
understand.
water and food and heating was a good way, but the in general, 90% of that plan would have been good for them. That would have given them dignity in death. That's what we'll call it. But they were doing this to people 70 years plus,
My good.
to 90 years, who have no hope in hell of dying soon. they,
Right.
they probably would have lasted forever, but they were doing it
Yeah.
to everyone, stopping the food, stopping the water, giving them
Mm,
drugs they don't really need, or denying them drugs sometimes that they did need.
that's scary.
And that was our government's idea of fun. Well, sorry, to
My,
try and help patients.
that's scary. That's scary. To give a healthy person, to starve a healthy person and to usher them to their death, that's negligence itself, especially if they're healthy and there's nothing wrong with them. Like you said, I understand cancer patients or people that's at their at end of life, and they're suffering. And they give them, that's what hospice over here does, is that they help them to be comfortable as they die. They don't usher them on to death. They don't push them on to death. But if they themselves have stopped eating, and they're in quite a bit of pain, a lot of pain, hospice comes in and they just give them pain medicine and keep them comfortable. They even give them like swabs, and if they're not taking food or water, to wash their mouth, and it is dignity in that. But to just kill somebody that's healthy, that's murder.
And that's why, yeah, that's basically why the idea was scrapped. And, they did listen to the public. But you Google that name, Liverpool Care Pathway, and add anything on top of that, like care homes, death rates, whatever you want, and you'll get the understanding of how really bad that was. Yeah, so I'm willing to help you, by the way, Mary, in any way, shape, and form. I'd love to get other people that
Definitely.
maybe if they want to come forward, just
Let
reassure
me.
them it's in confidence and they don't even have to go on the radio if they don't want, but just so we can get a picture going, we can stay in contact and just see
Mhm,
how we can help you guys in America. Well, Texas in this instance, but
mhm.
anywhere.
Thank you, Andy. And I do know of a young lady, and I'm going to talk to her. She right now her mother passed, so it's not. I'm going to give her time to grieve, but she too, similar as me, went through the same thing. There's so many, Andy. There's so many. And I will talk to these individuals and see what they think about, if they're wanting to come and, and speak out. That's what we need. We need people to speak out. Speak
And if
out.
they didn't want to speak out, they could give a false name and come on out,
Yeah.
or they could just give a false name and tell me their story, so we can put
Right.
it
Okay.
together in a document or a web page, and try and get
Definitely.
some support. I mean, I do know
Definitely.
over here loads of people that would wants to join other groups in other parts of the world that have similar experiences.
You know what I wish, you know how some people are able to put together a Netflix documentary. There, I have so much footage and so much story, 15 years of this, and there are others that I know, just exposing and letting people know this happened. If we can get to get, just put something together and document it and put and expose the nursing home for what they're doing, maybe they would do better. Right now, there's
Exactly,
not a.
that's my tactic, you see. The reason I get people released, and I mean only 3 or 4 people from
Mhm,
nursing homes or mental health or hospitals, it's not because I'm being nasty to them. I'm saying,
right,
look, the patient said this. The
right,
social worker said that. This is the
right,
evidence, there's something
right.
wrong here. What are you going to do about it? It's sort of
Mhm,
highlighting really what went wrong and what's the solution. Not,
right.
jumping up and down in the streets with
Oh,
banners.
definitely,
My nursing
definitely.
home is bad. It's not
No,
about that. It's about,
that's not. I don't think that's effective.
showing them in an audio or video presentation what
Hmm.
went wrong
Hmm.
and how we can fix it.
Exactly, exactly.
So then
And
the
that's what
next
needs
time
to,
you go into your nursing home, it should
mhm,
be this. You know, Dad's happy, the staff are happy. There's no sort
mhm,
of, oh, you reported us and this has happened. It's
exactly.
more, sorry, we got it wrong. Let's fix things. That's what it should be.
You know, Andy, I think another thing about the cameras is this company took over in July. And my dad's camera, there's a lot of interference when the nurses comes into the room. That it just start with interfering. You can hardly hear. Sometimes you can't see. It got a lot of static. But it started when this facility was taken over in July. Well, my dad went into the hospital in September, And during those 4 days he was in the hospital, his camera worked perfectly like it was before July.
They
Yes,
must have something on them that
they
makes
have
the
something on
cameras
them.
not work.
Yes, yes, they have something that is
Maybe
causing
it's their pa-
interference.
maybe they have pages on them. But no, if if he's been in the hospital and they've been in the room
Yeah,
and
they was in the
nothing's
room.
happened,
Right.
then
So,
obviously they're doing it deliberately when the
yeah,
patient's there to stop the
yeah,
camera working properly.
and yep, that's true. So I also reached out to FCC, which is the Federal Communication. Richard, I am an advocate of trying to get resolutions. So I'm talking to you and I'm reaching out to others. Something has to be done. Something has to be done because if it needs to end, all of this abuse and negligence needs to end. If you're getting paid to do a job, you should do it the best that you can and not lackadaisical like. And a lot of times people are in there with the camera. They don't want to come in because we have a camera and they're afraid to come into the room. We got a lot of people from other countries that don't want to come into the room because there's a camera in the room. And when they do come, they're scared, but we usually say thank you. We don't say nothing to them. They're just doing their job. Just pretend like it's not there. But the reason then is that they don't want to do their jobs right. It's not that the camera is there. One of the assistant DON that was there before this new company, she said, if you just do your job right, you don't have to worry about anything. Forget the camera.
Exactly, and if you make a mistake and you
It's
apologize or
it's
you highlight
okay.
that
It's
to your superiors, we're not going to bother with that. You've admitted it. End of.
exactly
It's when they don't admit it and they try and cover it
exactly
up is what the problem is.
exactly, and
I
that's
mean,
happened a
but,
lot.
but what happened today or yesterday? You mentioned the catheter and the stomach feeding tube. That is unacceptable in any hospital in any part of the world, even in Africa and bad areas of the world where they haven't got the money to do it properly. Even they will not make a mistake like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's what I say as well, Andy. And they keep showing them each time they make the same mistake over and over and over again. And they would just say, well, we're going to train them. How many times do you have to train a person to do the same job? How many times?
They should.
If you,
I mean, they should have
yeah.
qualifications, but what
Mm,
I'm not gonna what's the word? I'm not against people from other countries coming into our society, but I do
mm,
know in our country, and I'm sure America has more, probably 20
mm,
times more. We do have people from abroad that come in our country and work, and they're not
yes.
necessarily, and I don't know why, they're not actually registered to be a social
Mm-hmm,
worker, a nurse, a doctor, but they are allowed for a
mm-hmm,
temporary period to do that, and then suddenly they disappear. I don't mean disappear literally, but they moved on to another job, and our
mm-hmm.
country seems to be relying on foreign tourists or foreign
Yeah.
experts, in their field to. But that's why there's mistakes, and that's why they don't want
That's
to
the
come on
thing.
camera.
That's the same with us, is that we got a lot of other people from the country, from other countries, one specific country, more than any country, one specific country in the United States. These people, they go into nursing homes and their name badge doesn't display who they really are. Their name badge is a name that they made up. Say my name is hypothetically, in my country, my name is Makunda Matata, whatever. But I got on my name badge that my name is Mary. Well, when you go to report them and you don't have that appropriate name, you cannot report them. And that was the problem we had with one of the nurses, that the one that lied to the EMT about the young man, about the resident that was choking on his, with his clog. She didn't have her real name. She called herself another name. So I had to do a lot of digging to find out what this individual um, given name was. So you got a lot of people that's in the facility. There is not their name. Their badges say something else. So they're on. It's horrible. So when you ask, when you got an issue going on and you ask the administrator what that person's name is, they will not give you that person's real name.
I was
They
gonna
will not.
say, I was gonna say you don't have to confirm this, and you don't have to name the real country, but being in America where it is, I suspect most of the people who are doing that from your country are from Mexico, but you don't have to confirm that at all because
It's not.
I've got
It's not
people in.
Mexico.
Oh, it's not Mexico.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, it's not Mexico. I
No,
will
I know
confirm that.
some people in Mexico City and down in is it Bahia 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 it's down the other end of Mexico, Bahia California, something like that. Bahia. Anyway, yeah, they were telling me about nurses coming over the border quickly, but no.
Mm-mm. No, we get a lot of Africans.
Well, we don't
Uh,
have that problem with Africans over here. It's more the um Pakistanis and Indians that um
we don't have a problem with them over here, so I don't know what it is. Maybe it's different country, different parts of Africa that you might have. I have no clue, but 99% of my dad injuries were because of those people. Not, you know, and when I say those people, I'm not saying in a racist way, but I meant from those individuals that came from that country.
the people from abroad that wasn't necessarily, US citizens. Well, yeah, I know what you mean, but
Yeah.
yeah, like we'll call them agency staff
Right,
because that's
exactly. Agencies.
a
Well, they're
polite way
not,
of putting it. It doesn't matter
you
where they're
know,
from, they're temporary staff, they're agency. Yeah.
that's another issue. It is the temporary agency staff. It's them too, and they're Americans and just every country mixture. If it's agency, they come in and they come in, do their job, and leave and never see them again. Those are the agency. But the people that we've got are full-time staff members, when they're not doing, everything to, to the best of their abilities. I have no clue why they've been trained over and over again. I don't know. Um, and I have nothing against no one from any other country. It's just that I'm just saying what I witnessed in these past 15 years. That's 99% of the time that's happened to my dad.
He doesn't deserve that. In fact, nobody deserves that, and we will get to the bottom of this. And I like to keep the show to an hour because, people's train of thought goes after a bit. And I definitely want to do more shows with you and maybe
Definitely.
get some more guests on that you mentioned, in the next few weeks, days,
Most
weeks,
definitely.
whenever people are ready. It'll be absolutely wonderful to hear other stories. But privately by email, I'll give you a few ideas where I can send the show to maybe, you know, all we're asking nursing staff,
Mhm.
doctors, in the US is to look after Mary's dad and be transparent and honest and
Exactly.
with other patients too. That's all we really want. That's our aim. But
Yes, that's right.
yeah.
Just transparent. My thing is, I I love transparency. If you make a mistake, we're humans. We're gonna make mistakes, but don't hide it. That's the scary part is that when you hide something, it's hard to trust a liar. If they say, if they did something and then they hide it, how are you gonna trust that they're not hiding something else, right? So, I know that they're human beings, and I know, accidents going to happen, and it makes me feel better when they're just being honest with me. It really does because I know mistakes going to happen.
Oh, yeah, sorry, absolutely. So I just got up. The dog's messing about. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're not students. You can't let a student into a healthcare facility or a hospital.
Yeah,
Unless they're supervised.
that's
So,
right.
what is
Exactly.
their problems? I mean, is it the money? Maybe are they not being paid enough? I mean, but then they
Yeah.
shouldn't. You shouldn't
That's
be doing
another
your job if you're not paid enough.
that's another issue, Andy, that we had a big lack of techs, certified nursing assistants, the techs, the one that comes and clean them and all that. And the reason was that I was told is that the company didn't pay them enough. So they went to agency, where agency would make like $23 an hour. The company is paying like $15, $16 an hour. So it's hard to keep good people when you're not paying them enough. So that's why they don't have the staff. Sometimes they go and they don't have the appropriate amount of staff to tend to the residents. Sometimes like I said, my dad went a whole shift without a nurse, and he's gone many days, not getting turned every 2 hours as required by his doctor.
I mean, is he apart from the lack of care? Is he okay in his own mind? I know his body's playing up, but his mind, is he happy and content? Is he worried?
He has dementia, but I can tell when he's not satisfied or when he's hurting. He moves his head a lot when he's not satisfied, and he's not moving his head. And when he is moving his head, I am there to find out what the issue is, and I usually find out if maybe he's in pain or that he suffers some type of trauma or ill.
Oh, bless you. Bless him too. It's it's a horrible subject, isn't it, to talk about? But especially
It's
when
sad.
your loved ones in hospital and or care
It's
home in
it's
this case, and you know they'll never be home again because of their mind or their body. Depends on the
yeah.
situation, but you've just got to hope and do what you can. But if you want me to expose them in a polite way, we'll talk about that. We'll do the emails. You can tell me what to say, and I just
Okay.
copy and paste it and keep sending it to everybody. I've got a few senators that I've got help in the past with other stories,
Oh, good, good.
maybe 2 or 3 years ago, but just run it by them and just
Yes.
because safety in numbers, once they know other people are interested
Yes.
in what's going on, especially some of them in the UK, then they might,
Yeah.
um, do something different. And if that only helps your dad, uh, you know, then I'm happy. If it helps several people, then we can have a party together.
Yes. Definitely.
All right,
We'll chat.
we'll chat again, and God bless you. And
God
love
bless
to your
you.
dad. Tell him, you know, he may not understand, but just tell him we're here for him. And I'm
Thank you
going to
so
put
much.
a song on the end of this interview, and it was written for a charity that I work for. But I told this charity guy, sorry, singer-songwriter, um, I, I want a song that's gonna, I mean, basically it's called Here For You, Here For You.
Mm,
But I want it to, in this situation, I think it was child sexual abuse. But I said, look, if you're in hospital, if you've injured yourself, or if you're in a divorce, I want this song
mm,
to be relevant to anyone and everyone. And he was a man of the church as well, but he was a singer-songwriter. So I'll put that song
mm.
at the end of the interview because it really means something for me to you, Mary, and your
Thank you.
dad.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
God bless.
God bless you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
When the only thing is silence and you're walking in the dark, when the tide it turns washing away your heart, when you're looking for some comfort in that cold and lonely place, lift your head and follow your own heart. We are here for you when no one will walk beside you. We are here for you when no one will hold your hand. We are here for you. We'll stand up and we'll protect you when everyone has turned and walked away. We are here for you. Don't you worry, don't be sad, don't be scared of what's to come. Just remember that there's always a way out. Don't feel trapped and don't give up. Don't give in to all the pain. Lift your head and dry those tears away. We are here for you when no one will walk beside you. We are here for you when no one will hold your hand. We are here for you. We'll stand up and we'll protect you when everyone has turned and walked away. We are here for you. You are not alone. We're all standing here beside you. You are not alone. We'll stay with you from now on. You are not alone. Lonely days are far behind you when everyone has turned and walked away. We are here for you. We are here.